All right, in this video, I'm going to look at how you can go about editing selections within the audio. You've got two methods. You've got the timeline, which is in clicking up here and clicking and dragging. And you'll notice that the timeline selection then selects everything within those parameters there. They can be edited through the out point here on the blue arrow on the timeline, or the in point, start point there. You can also do it up here as well. You've got your start and end points. For this to happen successfully, you need to make sure that your timeline and editing selection tool is linked. That's with this blue bit. If I deselect that, there's my timeline selection, but I could feasibly select the next 4 bars and cut and edit and stuff. But when I hit play, it will still play around this timeline editing selection. Also, here you'll notice now that these little orange marker points have now appeared. This is because it's showing me that these two are no longer selected. So if you notice these, then you'll need to reselect that, and that will then make sure that the timeline follows the editing selection. You can also do adjacent edit. So if I select this part of the timeline here that I wanted to edit, if I hold the shift, and I'm going to make sure that I use this part of the tool. This is the selection tool. Remember, that's the grab tool. You don't want to use that part. You want to use this bit, and that's clicking in the upper half of the region. As soon as I click there, it then selects that region. And if I click there, it selects that region. So they are adjacent to one another. If I wanted to select all of them, I could click and drag down and across to capture those. Or, as I say, I can do it from the timeline at the top. If I don't want these two in the middle, I could go over here to the track header and select using the command and click, and I can deselect what I don't want as part of the editing selection. So there's another kind of alternate way. So there's lots of little ways to do that, which is really useful. Another way to navigate as well is using the tab button on the QWERTY keyboard. So that's the third button left on the left hand side down from the top. It's like an arrow with a line. That's your tab button. And if I press the tab key, you'll see that there's my playhead there. If I press tab again, you'll see now it's jumped to the next region and the beginning of that. If I press tab again, it's then selected the end of the region. If I hold Option or the Alt key and press tab, it goes backwards. So tab on its own moves forwards, Option, tab moves backwards. So that's another way of navigating. In addition to this, we can actually do it at a more precision sort of level, which is, and the really useful one here is the tab to transient, and that's this little button here. If I locate that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just zoom in here to the beginning of the drums, and if I click here, and I've just clicked on that beat, if I press the tab button now, it's tabbing to the transient of the audio, so the initial sort of starting point of each piece of audio. And you can see that that's moving, and it moved much more accurately. And holding the Option and the tab moves it backwards. So it's a really useful tool for making more precision sort of edits, and it's definitely for getting into and finding the start of drum hits and things like that. So you make sure you don't lose anything at the beginning or the end. But just as a quick overview, we've done timeline selection, which is by clicking at the top here, and that then selects everything within that. You can unlink those should you want to make any additional edits and things like that, and cut but retain the playback area. You'll notice that those orange markers appear, and if you click that, you'll notice that the timeline will follow the editing selection. We've then looked at the shift and click on a region to select adjacent ones, and you can also use the command and click on a track header to select those areas as well. And finally, just to change those region links, you've got the little blue arrow here located, or you can use the start and end located in the transport area. Okay.